Hello and welcome to the Rotary Time Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. On our programs, we speak with Rotarians, community leaders, and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, past District Governor Pat Borowski from the Rotary Club of Bailey's Crossroads, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent upon the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with the communities they serve and others locally and around the world. Joining me remotely today is Rotarian Mike Jones, who is the current president of the Rotary Club of Mount Vernon, Virginia, for the 2022-2023 Rotary year. Welcome, President Mike, to the Rotary Times.
Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being with us. So as we always start out with our people, give us a little background of who Mike Jones is.
Okay, well, I was born in Danville, Virginia. Lived there in the country the first 18 years of my life on a farm, and graduated one of the few that got away. So I made it up to UVA in Charlottesville and came to Northern Virginia once I graduated from UVA. Been here ever since.
Oh, that's great. What is your background, professional background in, Mike?
I had one of those degrees that I never put to use unless a rare Jeopardy question comes up. I was a biology major, but I spent 24 and a half years in the retail banking business.
Oh, well, you and I would have a lot to speak about because my background is financial services as well. So how did you get to Rotary?
Oh, well, it was easy. I was recently promoted back in 1987 to a branch manager. My boss came in one day and said, "You need to find a way to get involved in the community." And my assistant manager at the time overheard that, and he goes, I know someone you need to meet. And that someone was D.R. Butler. 2 days later, he came in, he introduced himself, told me I should be a Rotarian, invited me to a meeting. And as they say, the rest is history.
Well, past District Governor D.R. Butler, yes, God bless his soul, was such an impressive and influential district governor for all of us. And so what a wonderful way to be welcomed into Rotary.
Well, he had a big impact on my life and contributed to all kinds of things, and probably partially responsible for my hearing loss because he was wicked on the Rotary bell.
So tell us about your club, kind of the composite of it, and additionally, give us a feel for your community.
Well, and the club has always been classified as a small club. I wish we could lose that name, but it seems to stick. We are currently 9 members and 11 honorary members. Of the honorary members, 4 actually attend meetings on a regular basis, especially via Zoom. One of them is in Arizona. One of them is at home somewhere in the Valley, Shenandoah Valley, because his club never went virtual when COVID happened, so he just started coming to ours. Community is very varied as well. We have always been on the Route 1 corridor, which is, I think, is just a great cross-section of all of Fairfax County. You have all types of demographics, and housing varies from low end to high end and so forth. So and there are a lot of needs there, which there should be more Rotarians out there trying to solve those issues and providing for those needs.
Well, and I'm sure your club's going to go out and get those people and broaden that club. Oh, absolutely. And your point is well taken, Mike, because I really think people don't appreciate the need that is dispersed across our county. And so when I hear some people say, well, I don't know what we would do this year in a service project, I can give them 15 reasons why. So with that, what caused you to say, I'm going to stay in Rotary and then additionally accept a leadership role?
Well, it was always about the camaraderie as far as staying, and then it became doing good in the world. It was a way to get back. I hadn't realized at the time, but I guess it was in my family. My father was also in financial services, but he wasn't one to play golf. He was the one to go out and uh, repair the widow's sewing machines and work on cars and teach young kids how to work on cars and things like that. So I guess service was in my blood, and I found a good outlet for it.
Yeah, and I think that's important for Rotarians to reflect upon, because most of us, if we really look back, do come from environments of giving and service. And so we kind of need to look for that in the prospects we look for members. So with that, how has your club changed in terms of the pandemic? And you mentioned a very important element that your club has begun to master.
Right. We missed one meeting during the pandemic. I had been a Zoom user for several years prior to the pandemic, so I just had one meeting where we were limited to the 40 minutes, and I immediately updated my account the following week. We shrunk a little bit. We had a few people that did leave and did not want to be honorary members. We have a member who's never been on Zoom. He's come to one meeting in 2 years. And ironically, he uses another platform to run his medical practice. So, what can I say? But I think we pivoted well. We realized very early that we could get a broad range of speakers if we didn't have them driving in Northern Virginia traffic.
Right.
And we've had speakers from all over the place.
Yeah, and
Georgia.
And that gives vibrancy to your club.
Exactly.
And those are great examples, Mike. It demonstrates that Zoom is an extremely flexible augmentation on an ongoing basis to your club that can lead to better variety, but additionally can reach out and, as you were saying, the gentleman whose club didn't pivot, and he's now coming to your club meeting. So you do pick up members. With that, how have you seen, or what have you seen as changes in your community since the pandemic?
I think there is maybe a lack of awareness because people were inside for so long. We do realize that there is still a great need for food. One of our projects last year was helping with a food drive, or providing our grant money for food sustainability. The hardest thing about Zoom is people not knowing where you are. I've had people actually call me thinking we were still at our previous location. And I felt bad because I didn't know how to, I hate to admit this, and maybe you want to edit it, I didn't know how to update DAC TV to show that we were not meeting there. So learned how to do that right away.
Well, see, mother of invention.
Right?
Right. And have you seen businesses come and go in your community since the pandemic? And partnerships that you may have had, and nonprofits gone and you have to reestablish yourself with someone else?
I don't think so much for the nonprofits. We aligned ourselves with some pretty well-founded ones, United Community being one. And of course, the school system, we found, the back up a step. We decided that the biggest impact we could have is in the schools. It's a crossroads of the community. It's where all different cultures come together in one place.
Okay.
So through the school, through another nonprofit, and through Interact, we have tried to support the local high school.
Now, Mike, in terms of your service projects, how do you organize yourselves within your club? How do you identify projects? How do you identify partners? How do you come together to do the project? You were talking about a food insecurity project. How do you then communicate that to your members and to the community? If you could give us a little snippet on that.
Well, we've also realized that there is great strength in numbers, and Alexandria has 4 small clubs and the big club. And
Right.
some of the projects we did as joint projects with some of the other clubs, and we've attended some of their meetings, and they've joined some of ours. Our district grant we are doing in conjunction with another club, actually supporting their district grant, I should say. They get most of the credit. We did reef laying at the local National Cemetery in Alexandria with another club. And we just keep asking, what are you doing? How can we work together?
Yes, I do know that your club has a really rich history of reaching out and partnering with other clubs. And so that has really been a benefit for you.
Yeah, especially when it requires feet on the ground and hands.
Correct, exact. Partners are kings. Well, this is a good point. Thank you, and we're going to be taking our break. We will take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Mike Jones.
We've been here before, fighting the problems that fight back, because we see opportunities where others see obstacles. We're change makers and problem solvers, uniting over 1 million minds to address complex issues facing communities around the world, including yours. We're working together as partners and professionals, while making friendships that last a lifetime. We're Rotary, and there's no limit to what we can do.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We are here speaking with Rotarian Mike Jones, the current president of the Rotary Club of Mount Vernon, Virginia, for the 2022-2023 Rotary year. Now, Mike, tell us about one of your major service projects that you do.
Well, one of our major projects is what we call the You Make a Difference Award.
Ooh, I like
and,
that.
And we know that there are unsung heroes out there in the community, and they need recognition to help their causes just as we do. So what we have done is we have created a award called You Make a Difference. It is a recognition for the person who receives the award and a $1,000 grant for the organization that they're working with. We do not nominate anyone ourselves. It all comes from a community. It is growing. The first year we had 2 nominations. Second year, during the midst of the pandemic, we had 1, and this year we have 4. So we will be meeting this week to determine who is going to be our 2023 recipient.
That is wonderful. Do you also happen to give them a Paul Harris Fellow?
No, but that is an excellent idea.
And I know your club has the points to do it too, Mike.
Oh, yes.
No, but that's wonderful. You know, recognizing the people who are your partners and really do serve the community outside the membership of Rotary is really crucial. And, you know, some of those people would be good candidates for your club to give to the district for Community Service Leader of the Year. So, just saying.
Keep that in mind.
Well, what other projects? What is the project that you get involved in the most?
As far as hands-on, it's probably the bell ring of the Salvation Army. But there was a past project that I would like to restart. That was an entertainment event we did at one of the local assisted living facilities, and we call it the horse races. And they put a stop to us coming in during the pandemic and haven't embraced us since things have eased up, but we would like to get back into doing that.
Oh, that'd be great.
And put a lot of smiles on a lot of faces when we had human horses racing across the room.
Oh, my goodness. Well, now, could you also share with us, how does your club raise money to do the service projects? Clubs are always asking for new ideas.
Another partnership is with the Alexandria Club, and we do Flags for Heroes each year. I've done that for the last 2 years, and we'll be doing it again this year.
Correct.
And for many years, we have sold White House Christmas ornaments and raised money that way. Unfortunately, during this past year, we just broke even, but it was an effort I think we'll continue and get the word out better in future years.
Right, and I think as we come further and further away from the pandemic, people will be able to get back in a rhythm of paying more attention and being more flexible.
Exactly.
Right. Well, in your professional life, well, first of all, does your family get involved in your Rotary activities?
Not necessarily, but I was a Rotarian before I was married and before I had children. So, you know, Wednesday nights, Dad was not going to be home. And both of my children have attended Rotary meetings, of course. There were some nights when it was just no babysitter available. But
sure.
I knew I had an impact on my kids when we had mentioned past District Governor D.R. Butler. I was one of the speakers at his memorial service, and
yes.
Both my kids came to his service without being asked or prompted.
Yes, and I remember
I'm very proud of that.
I remember your comments, and they were beautiful. And that's and again, here's the illustration. Maybe you weren't conscious when you were growing up, but clearly in reflection, you came from a household where service to the community was important, and you are certainly passing that on, and your children are adopting it. So a culture of giving and a culture of service is really, I think, what binds us as Rotarians more than anything else.
I have to agree.
Right, and then with that, of course, our motto, service above self, and the four-way test, how has that influenced you in perhaps sharing that a little bit better through your professional efforts?
Well, I think it's a very easy to remember and concise mottos to live by.
Yes.
You always want to be fair, be truthful. Another organization that I belong to was founded by a former Rotarian, and their code of ethics, if he had not put more words in, it would probably be plagiarism. So it's two organizations that kind of follow the same guidelines. And being truthful with clients and keeping their best interests in mind is a way to keep clients for a long time. So it just makes sense to do that in my professional life. I have former clients from the bank, and I haven't been in banking for the last 13 years, who call me because they know they trust my advice, or they know I may know a guy or know a gal who could help them out. I had someone call me, used to be in business in Alexandria. He called me from North Carolina the other day because he had a question about taxes. I am not qualified to answer his questions about taxes, but I I sent him a Google link that probably helped. So
Well, but you're
it's just,
go ahead.
yeah, I think the living by the four-way test, whether we're aware of it or not, is just the right thing to do. And um, more people probably live by the four-way test than there are Rotarians. They just don't know they should be Rotarians yet.
What has changed in your club in terms of the way that, influence from the pandemic, things that you've learned? And how has that changed your members, the organization, how you work together? I mean, using clearly Zoom as a tool, but what other things have you seen that have changed and perhaps strengthened your club?
Well, we continue to adapt. We're trying a hybrid model now. The first hybrid meeting, the feedback was that people on Zoom felt a little neglected, so I made an effort to change where I was sitting in the room, where the computer was, and so forth. I think it's just been also a way to include everyone. Whether they are, again, Arizona with the crazy, time change, and, they don't do daylight savings time. So it's either they're Pacific time or Mountain time, depending on the time of year. That's dedication to our club. And we welcome things like that and welcome feedback on how to make it better.
Now, Mike, how do you outreach to potential prospects? How is that process in your club? And then once someone is interested and you take them in as a member, how do you integrate them into your club?
Unfortunately, it's been a while since it's happened, but the way I foresee doing it, and having spent quite a bit of time in membership meetings, is you have to get people engaged right away. My insurance marketing organization that I belong to, the word of the year is engagement. And engagement just means you've got to find out where people are and what do they want out of Rotary, not what we want out of them as Rotarians.
Right.
I also do quite a bit of networking, and obviously did more before the pandemic, but my goal in networking is to find, first of all, speakers for Rotary,
Right.
and then try to make some of those people members if it's feasible.
Sure.
I think if we ever settle on whether we're going to be an in-person club, a hybrid club, or a virtual club, it might make that job a lot easier.
Yes, well, I think it has to be a combination. I think, as you've illustrated throughout your comments, Zoom is a tool that has a lot of flexibility and will be with us. Your thing about engagement is so critical. How did you, when you were becoming a member, how did DR get you engaged? Not just ask you to come to be a member, but, pay the toll and do the deed.
I still remember this day. He came in to my office. I'd been a Rotarian for about a year, and he said, "I think you should be president." That was my first time as president, and I asked him to induct me at our ceremony that year. And his words were, "Now I get to sit back and see how you handle a room full of prima donnas." And I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I have learned since.
Right, it's like herding cats,
Yeah.
but you don't have the tools as you have in professional life.
Right. He pushed me, uh, in a good way. He did. I sat back later and watched him do it to other people too. So it was, he was a good influence on not just me, but most of the members of our club in Union.
Right, and he pushed you to get you engaged, and then of course the attraction is once you're engaged, you're hooked.
Right.
And that's a great observation. Well, Mike, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being with us, and thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, past District Governor Paporowski from the Rotary Club at Bailey's Crossroads, Virginia. You are welcome to join us at a Rotary Club meeting in your area for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a service project. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some form of hybrid format. You only need to look us up for the details. Remember, our time is your time, and together it is time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 117 years of service above self.